Hi guys, welcome to another awesome coaster fight. I haven't done one of these in a long time because I was so busy with school a couple months ago, but now we're in summer break, so I'm able to make a lot of new videos. That's how I've been able to go on a lot of the trips now. So today I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Carolina Cyclone versus Tennessee Tornado, which Carolina Cyclone is located at Carowinds and Tennessee Tornado is located at Dollywood, which I got the opportunity to ride both these coasters recently. I first rode Carolina Cyclone in 2016, but I rewrote it again in 2019. And then it was my first time riding the Tennessee Tornado this year, which, yeah, these coasters are aero loopers, so I think it's kind of cool to do a little coaster matchup, see which one is better. So, without further ado, let's get started. And you guys know the drill. The first category of this fight will be the height. Carolina Cyclone sits at 95 feet high, and the Tennessee Tornado is 163 feet tall. My bad. So the Cyclone's getting a 2, and the Tornado's getting a 4. Based off of Kingda Ka, they're really not that tall. Plus Carolina Cyclone, which looks a lot smaller in real life. So next category will be the drop. The Cyclone's getting a 4. The Carolina Cyclone drop is not that fun in my opinion. I mean, it's okay, but the drop it just doesn't really do anything for me, so I'm giving it a 4. Then the Tennessee Tornado is getting a 10, which you'd be like, what? Let me just tell you, the drop on Tennessee Tornado blew me away. Like, the drop on this thing is crazy. Like, one thing I also like is how it uses a terrain to its advantage, which is something that I love about Tennessee Tornado, which we'll get to that later. But that's one of the reasons why the drop is so cool, because it has this really long tunnel, and it's just the drop, especially in the back. You get some crazy airtime in the back, which is something I love. I just love Tennessee Tornado. So yeah, the drop is getting a 10. One of my personal favorite drops on a roller coaster. Next, let's talk about speed. And then the Carolina Cyclone goes 41 miles per hour, so I'm going to give the Cyclone a 3 for going 41 miles per hour. The Tennessee Tornado is getting a 5 for going 63 miles per hour, which is pretty good for an aero coaster, but it's kind of average for a roller coaster, but it's not a bad speed, so I'm giving the Tennessee Tornado a 5. So next, let's move on to the layout category. Carolina Cyclone's getting a 5. It's really just standard. You have your double loop, your double corkscrew. It does pack in a small helix towards the end, which is what I like, but I feel like the layout for Carolina Cyclone is just kind of basic. Not really a substance to it, so I'm giving it a 5. Tennessee Tornado is getting a 9. While the ride is a bit short, which we'll get to that later, I love just the inversions are just really good on Tennessee Tornado, which is, you'd be thinking, really? For an aero coaster? Which we'll get to the smoothest inversions later, but yeah. Also, one cool thing about Tennessee Tornado is that it was designed by Alan Schilke, who's designed many of the RMCs, including Lightning Rod, which is at the same park. So yeah, Tennessee Tornado is getting a 9 for its layout. I think Tennessee Tornado's layout is amazing, especially for an aero. So now let's talk about the smoothness. This is a thing a lot of people complain about aero coasters. They say that they are very rough. The Cyclone is not that bad in my opinion. Probably, or as right now, where I'm recording this, it's probably the roughest aero I've done, or roughest aero looper at least, which is saying something because I've yet to ride Anaconda at King's Dominion, which I'll be riding that this year, and I've heard that is one of the worst aero loopers. And there's also Corkscrew at Sierra Point, which I haven't done. But yeah, Carolina Cyclone's getting a 5. It's not that bad. I think the smoothness is okay. There are some headbanging that occurs, but it's really not that bad. The Tennessee Tornado is getting an 8. Everyone calls this the smoothest aero looper. Now a lot of people do think it's like butter smooth, which I will disagree. I wouldn't call it butter smooth. I'd say it's kind of the same smoothness that you'd find on something like Rock and Roller Coaster. But yeah, the smoothness was something I was very surprised at Tennessee Tornado. It was pretty darn smooth, especially for an aero. So Tennessee Tornado is getting an 8. I thought the smoothness was fine. And I barely got any headbanging on the Tornado, which was like mind-blowing. So next, let's talk about transitions. So the Cyclone's getting a 6. There's really only like a couple moments where there's head bashing when you like transition from one element to the next, which is after the second loop and going into the first corkscrew. There's a little bank on there which kind of causes some head knocking, but that's the only moment I really need to give some nitpicking. You know, okay. But so now the Tennessee Tornado, on the other hand, I'm giving this a 9. Some very well transitions on this thing. There's like one moment where it's kind of a little headbang. There's like it's due to the banking. It's really not the smoothness. I don't think so. So the Tennessee Tornado is getting a 9. So next, let's talk about elements. My bad. I'm just so excited to talk about intensity, but let's talk about the elements real quick. Cyclone's getting a 5. The elements, again, they're just kind of basic. You have the double loop, the double corkscrew, the helix. It's kind of basic. Tennessee Tornado is getting a 10. I'm talking about those inversions. It has 3 inversions, but they are very smooth. Like, it's not like usually air coasters give you headbanging on some inversions, but I did not get a single headbanging on any of the inversions on Tennessee Tornado. Like, this thing has a gargantuan vertical loop. It's 110 feet, which you get some pretty good hang time if you're in a certain spot. And then you, of course, have 2 other versions which are so intense, which we'll get into the intensity later. I'm so excited to talk about the intensity with Tennessee Tornado. But yeah, the inversions on this thing are pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm giving a 10 for the inversions on Tennessee Tornado, or elements. Now, let's talk about intensity. So Cyclone's getting a 6. When I wrote Carolina Cyclone this year, I would remember being very intense, but I was surprised by how intense it kind of was. Like, the loops pulled some decent G-force, which is something I was like, wow. I was pretty surprised by that. So the Cyclone's getting a 6. The Tennessee Tornado is getting a 9. The intensity on Tennessee Tornado was a shock. I was surprised by how intense this thing was. Like, the intensity of this thing was pretty bonkers, I'd say. Dare I say, possibly more intense than Lightning Rod. Now, Lightning Rod is way more aggressive, so that's why I could see it being more intense. But G-force-wise, Tennessee Tornado is so much more forceful than Lightning Rod, which is something that just blew my mind. So yeah, Tennessee Tornado is without a doubt a very, very, very forceful coaster. Each time they rode Tennessee Tornado, I grayed out. And that's what I was talking about, those last 2 elements. That is where the intensity really kicks in. Taylor was saying it was during like the first loop, but I think it's the last 2 versions that really gets you. It's called Tennessee Tornado, and they really got the name right because it literally felt like I was in a tornado. Like, it's that forceful, and that's why I love Tennessee Tornado. So yeah, I'm giving Tennessee Tornado a 9. So now let's talk about duration. So Carolina Cyclone's getting a 4. It's really not that long. It says it's about 1:30, but it kind of feels shorter to me. I'm not really judging it based off of stats anymore. I'm just kind of judging it based off when it leaves the lift. So yeah, Tennessee Tornado is getting a 3. This is something that I'm not crazy about Tennessee Tornado. It is a very short ride, which is something that I'm just like, oh, come on. Can it please be longer? It is 1:48, according to RCDB, but it feels short. Like, it's just too short. I wish it were longer. Like Loch Ness Monster, though. That's a long ride. So I'm giving the Tennessee Tornado a 3. Next, let's move on to pacing. They're both getting an 8. These coasters both have some pretty good pacing. I think aero coasters have good pacing. So yeah, they're both getting an 8. Now let's talk about theming. Cyclone's getting a 3 for this category. The entrance, I mean, the cardboard, I don't know what it is, like the look of the tornado, I don't know, it looks kind of odd. I mean, yeah, it's old, so I give that. And I like how they decorate some of the wood inside the station to make it look like it was just hit by a cyclone. So I'll give it that. I will say one thing, I do really like the color scheme. I like how it changes throughout the ride, which I think that's kind of neat, but the theming on Carolina Cyclone's pretty weak, so I'm giving it a 3. And Tennessee Tornado is getting an 8. Definitely one of the best themed coasters in my opinion. You get some pretty darn good theming on this coaster. And I mean, it's in Dollywood, so what do you expect? I mean, inside the queue line they have all facts about tornadoes. There are like some funny jokes that'll just make you laugh. And then, of course, there's a little bit of theme. There's not really much theming throughout the ride, so that's why it's getting an 8, not a 10. But Tennessee Tornado is pretty well themed, so I'm giving it an 8. Now let's talk about restraints. They both have the same restraints. Different style trains though, but they both basically share the same restraints. So I'm giving both coasters a 6. They're alright, I guess. It's just kind of standard. They're just the aero restraints, so there's nothing really to talk about here. Last but not least, let's talk about the setting. Carol Cyclone's getting a 5. It would get a lot lower of a score if it weren't for the it going over the sidewalk. That's something I think is pretty cool about Tennessee Tornado, how it goes over pathways. So that's why I'm giving it the advantage. I'm giving it a 5 because I really do like that. But it's just kind of basic, so yeah. Then Tennessee Tornado is getting an 8. I really love how it uses the terrain to its advantage. I really like the setting on this coaster. Because, like I said earlier, it uses the terrain to its advantage, and you see plenty of mountains throughout the coaster. So yeah, Tennessee Tornado is getting an 8 for this category. So that is the end for this awesome coaster fight. And we do have a winner here. Taking the lead by a long shot is Tennessee Tornado at Dollywood. Congratulations, you have defeated Carolina Cyclone. Tennessee Tornado is, as of right now, one of my favorite roller coasters. It is just mind-blowing, and I'm surprised that no one really talks about this ride that much. It is a truly underrated roller coaster and one of my favorite coasters, and as of right now, my favorite aero roller coaster. So yeah, congratulations for winning, Tennessee Tornado. You are an amazing aerodynamics custom looper. So, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment below which one do you prefer. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future. Also, don't forget to check out Theme Park Guy Productions on Instagram for more content and updates. Link will be in the description below. See you guys next time. Have a theme-tacular day.